honestly, what it comes down to is really putting together all of your basic techniques. I've talked before about how recipes aren't necessarily what allows you to be creative. They show you a great guide, but they don't allow you to be creative. I thought maybe I would start doing some videos that included really strong technique when it comes to working like a chef. And for me, one of those things that is just a mystery to a lot of people, including a lot of people that I teach personally, is the idea of sauteing. If I want to break that down even more, then we're looking at sauteing mushrooms. Now, this is definitely not hard by any means, but a lot of times what you get is they're just soggy, grease-soaked mushrooms. It's not the hardest technique in the world, but we can take this basic technique of sauteing mushrooms correctly and then apply it to other things in the kitchen. And that's part of creating like a chef, which is understanding the basic techniques and then turning those basic techniques into your own ideas once you start mastering those techniques. For a long time, I didn't recognize what, you know, good sauteed mushrooms looked like until one of my chefs at the Culinary Institute of America pulled me aside and said, these are garbage, basically. She didn't use those words, but she showed me exactly what a sauteed mushroom should look like. And once you get them right, they're crispy, they're caramelized, they bring out the umami flavor, and so that's what I want to do today. And then maybe we'll incorporate these into a dish. So we talked a little bit about, you know, having mushrooms that are crispy and sauteed properly versus those that are soggy and greasy. And so, you know, one of the problems is when people saute, they start off with a pan that's not necessarily too hot or hot enough for that matter, and they overcrowd their pan when it comes to a sauteed mushroom. If you overcrowd your pan early on with the sauteed mushrooms, what's going to happen is when all of the mushrooms release their liquids, you're basically going to just stew the mushrooms. So what I like to do is just make sure, one, I don't overcrowd the pan. And what I've got going here is on my induction burner, I've got a pan heating up, and I'm going to add some canola oil to the pan. Just a couple tablespoons. I know it seems like a lot, right? But it's really not. Okay. Now as that oil heats up, what you're looking for is you can test your oil just a little bit by dropping in a little piece. And if you see it start to sizzle, I think we're about there. So normally what we do is we add in salt right at the beginning of our saute. But in this case, what I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm not setting us up for failure. And if we added salt in early to the mushrooms, that's when they decide to really release a lot of their liquids. And I've got some shiitakes here that I've sliced up, and some regular just large button mushrooms. You could use those for stuffing if you want later. But these shiitakes I've sliced pretty thin. I'm going to add these in, and I think that's about all we can handle there with our mushrooms before they start to crowd the pan. You can hear them starting to sizzle. Now I just want to leave them alone for a few minutes while they do their work. You can do this with shiitake mushrooms, you can do it with button mushrooms. Portobellos are great because they're big and hearty and you can cut them into larger chunks. But the key is to kind of give them some time to work with the hot oil in the pan. Notice I'm not fussing with my mushrooms right now. I'm just kind of allowing them to relax in there. I will go through and give them a stir off the bottom. But a lot of new cooks, they tend to play with their food too much. They want to continuously stir it, and that's one of the things that I see from new cooks in the kitchen. They always want to stir something. And quite frankly, in order for us to get a good caramelization on our mushrooms, we need to have patience. Been in there for a few minutes, so I'm going to give them a nice little stir. Check the bottoms, and we're starting to get some caramelization around there. Most mushrooms that are sauteed incorrectly are basically soggy and greasy. If you get the right temperature in the pan with just enough oil to let it work, what you're going to do is caramelize the mushrooms really, really well, and it's actually going to bring out a lot of that earthy umami flavor in your mushrooms. Now's the time to add in your salt. A little bit after it gets going. And what the salt will do now is, yes, it'll release a little more liquid, but you've already got a great caramelization started, so you don't need to worry about that. Get back in there. At this point in time, you could put in some garlic if you wanted to. If you put it in too early while you're trying to caramelize your mushrooms, what's basically going to happen is you're going to get burnt garlic, and you won't be able to cook your mushrooms as long as you'd like before that happens. If you take a look right in the pan right now, we've got some beautifully caramelized mushrooms. Nothing good comes from poorly sauteed mushrooms. And basically what you're seeing right now is just nice golden color on all the mushrooms. They're really taking a lot of good caramelization, developing a lot of rich flavors when it comes to bringing out that umami that's natural. Now, I thought, since I'm sauteing some mushrooms, why not put together a whole dish for you? And this is going to be super, super easy. I have some lacinato kale that I've just simply run my knife through. I'm going to add that to our dish, to our pan. Now the moisture from the lacinato kale is going to help deglaze the bottom of the pan, but I do definitely want to give it a little bit of help with some vegetable broth. You can see that, and all we're going to do is we're going to wilt that lacinato kale. To that, I want to add some cannellini beans. Those are just going to get warmed up. And to that, I've got some fire roasted tomatoes. Warm it right up. Give it some final seasoning with some salt. A little fresh pepper. Since I knew I was making this dish, I took a few moments and actually just cooked off a few andouille sausage links that I picked up from my butcher shop. So I'm going to add this right back to the dish that I had the kale in, with just a touch of andouille sausage right there. And you can finish it off with any, semi-hard cheese. You could use a Parmigiano Reggiano. You could use Asiago. And there you have just a beautiful, easy dinner with some wonderfully sauteed mushrooms to boot to go inside.